There are certain type of religions and certain practices and ideologies that kind of get our minds kind of messed up about what confession actually should be and look like before a holy God. Unfortunately, many people look at confession as sitting down behind a veil and telling it to someone else as if that is sufficient enough to cure the heart condition. Oftentimes, people suffer in silence, allowing the sin to take residence within one's heart and mind, leaving someone feeling entrapped. This should not be the case, as Psalm 32 1 through 5 says, "How joyful is the one whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. How joyful is a person whom the Lord does not charge with iniquity, and in whose spirit is no deceit." When I kept silent, my bones became brittle from my groaning all day long. For day and night your hand was heavy on me. My strength was drained as in the summer's heat. Then I acknowledged my sin to you and did not conceal my iniquity. I said, I will confess my transgressions to the Lord, and you forgave the guilt of my sin. According to Charisma magazine, popular Christian comedian John Crist canceled his upcoming tour dates due to allegations of inappropriate sexual conduct. Crist admitted his actions, stating, "Over the past number of years, various women have accused me of behavior that has been hurtful to them. While I'm not guilty of everything I've been accused of, I confess to being guilty of this. I have treated relationships with women far too casually. In some cases, even recklessly. My behavior has been destructive and sinful." He later goes on to say, "My entire career has been lived out on stage, and even though I've shared many of my life struggles with my audiences, I've lived in constant fear of the darkest parts of my life exposed publicly. My greatest fear has been that those who have loved and supported me would hate me if they knew everything about me. I now humbly seek forgiveness and mercy and love, not just for me, but for those I've hurt along my path. I'm so sorry." Just like John Crist, let us never suffer in silence. There is healing in confessing your faults to those who will both love you, but also challenge and encourage you without making you feel condemned. Make sure that confession is a genuine lament to change your heart. As we are going to see in this clip from Living Waters, even someone who is not devoted to Christ understands the importance of genuine confession and not just doing it as a temporary fix.
So here's the big question. If God judges you by the 10 Commandments on Judgment Day, you're going to be innocent or guilty?
Guilty.
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 Heaven or hell?
Like, what do you mean? Like, am I gonna go, like, where am I? Oh, he'll send me down there.
Sure.
By those 10 commandments, then yeah.
Yeah, but isn't there like the whole confession and then it like resets? Like,
Confession won't help you. It's like saying,
Mixed reviews. Because people think a confession kind of like paying your way into heaven, and like, that's just not okay. Because people think like, okay, I'm gonna lie to you, and then, I'm just gonna go to church, confess, and I'll be good. But that's not really how it works. Like, you did the crime, you did it. Like, just because you go and like, oh yeah, I did it, and like confessing to one person, like, it's not gonna change anything.
Let's hope that this confession is not just a pacifier to go back to his sexual addictions, but it allows John to radically transform this addiction into a testimony to help others. Just as importantly, let us pray that John surrounds himself with people who passionately love Jesus and keeps him accountable for his decisions, so he will rid himself from the desire to go back to where God has delivered him from. We're praying for you, John. Let this time away from the stage create an amazing testimony of how God forgives and restores.